welcome to In Conversation. Over the last 6 months, the world has been hearing, learning, talking, and above all, experiencing the COVID-19 crisis. Even as Prime Minister Narendra Modi makes a determined push for an Atmanirbhar Bharat and the world community comes together to look for COVID-19 solutions, there are some individuals who are volunteering for human trials of vaccine candidates. One such corona warrior is with us. He is Deepak Paliwal. He has Indian roots. Now he is a UK resident. He's joining us from London. He had volunteered for the human trial of a vaccine candidate of Oxford University. This vaccine candidate is one of the global frontrunners in the search for a COVID-19 vaccine. Oxford University has entered into a partnership with British drug maker AstraZeneca and Pune-based Serum Institute of India on developing a COVID-19 vaccine. Welcome, Deepak Paliwal, to DD India.
Thank you, Manman.
So tell us, who is Deepak Paliwal? What does he do?
Manman, I'm based out of London and I'm a pharmaceutical consultant. And for the last 10 years, I'm in UK. Before that, I was in India and working with different pharmaceutical companies.
How did the idea strike you volunteering for a human trial?
One of my friends just messaged me that there is a trial going on. Will you like to enroll for that? And I thought, why not? You know, if something good can happen through me, I'll be the luckiest person if I can be of any help to the humanity and for a good cause. So I registered online thinking that yes, I may be the lucky one to get the chance. But still I was not hopeful because there was quite a lot of entries for that. I registered it and suddenly I get an email that we will like to screen you. And that was the time I decided, yes, let me go. And when the parameters were found perfect, then they gave me offer, will you like to be a part of the trial?
Was your family aware of your decision?
No. Because I was a little bit, being the youngest in the family, I was still thinking that they'll never approve of this because I was all in London and they are back in Jaipur. So I've not told my mother, sister and brother till the day 29th. Then I had to tell them that I have done this. But that was, you know, they can't do anything after that. But that, you know, it was a different, my mom was not happy about it. My sister was not happy, but then they said, yeah, it's a good cause.
We had spoken to your mother and brother who are based in Jaipur, and they said that there is a humane side to you, and often in the past you've been involved in blood donation exercises. So have you been like this since childhood?
Yes, I've been a blood donor regularly. I've been a platelet donor regularly. Maybe they were really nice on the television to you and to others, but behind the scenes, you never know what they are telling me.
So what did they tell you when you revealed this to them, and how did they come to know finally about this?
I just told them on day 29th after a month of the trial, and because I do quite strange things regularly, like I did a skydiving a few months back. So they said, when are you going to stop something like this, you know? And they counted vaccine trial also into one, that you have to think. And then later on, I think that I must have told them earlier, it must have been better. Because, you know, they were back in Jaipur, I'm in London, and if something goes wrong, then who to blame?
How did your wife react to the decision? Did you tell the entire story to her?
She is a practicing pharmacist out here in London. So we understand these clinical trials a lot. So initially she was not in favor because she was working and she said that the trial may go wrong. Like if they give me a chemical component, it can really make me weaker and open to the virus. Because she was going, she said she may also get this, you know, infection back at home. So she was a little anxious in starting. And she said, think about it, it's your call, and she will stand, but she was not in full support initially.
People are generally cautious, Deepak, when it comes to informing their family members about certain things because they don't want them to unnecessarily worry and panic. Was this also playing on your mind?
Of course, yes, because since the time I have told, they are just going online and talking, learning what is this clinical trial, what are the different adverse effects of the clinical trial. So it makes a difference, and especially when the distance is quite a lot. When there's no flights currently working, and I can't come and they can't come if something goes wrong. So that will play on. And once again, I said that I'm the youngest one. So youngest one is always pampered, whatever the age can be. But that affects on everybody.
Was there a secrecy clause in the contract that you may have entered with the Oxford University? Were there any restrictions on your travel, on your divulging information to even family members, for instance?
No. They said I can share it, but they have informed that you can't share it on social media. So no photographs were allowed when the vaccination is happening. But they also want people to know that, how this clinical trial is going, it's safe, people are volunteering, and then that's the way you get more people enrolled for it, when people talk about this clinical trial.
You are a pharmaceutical consultant yourself, your wife is a pharmacist, you said your wife was quite anxious when you told her about this. You must be aware of the risks involved yourself?
Yes, there are a lot of risks, but if everybody thinks about risk, then nobody is going to enter into any clinical trial. There are risks on every parameters, but yeah, somebody has to do it. And I was lucky enough to do it.
Did the Oxford University also inform you about the risks involved in the process?
Yes, they did. They showed us quite a lot of videos that these are the risk factors. They have given us literature to read that these are the risk factors. Risk factor involves from just a rash to fever, even to organ damage, and it can end up in mortality.
And only a very perfectly fine and healthy individual can enroll for this, and that's why your parameters were checked, isn't it?
Yes. The first where 1,000 volunteers were enrolled were only on healthy individuals, so that they can, if there's some small little adverse reaction, they can fight it out. The immunity of the body also can react to that. So they wanted healthy individuals, and they regularly check the parameters. It's a well planned trial.
And you could return home, live your normal life, and check your own parameters, and also go to the Oxford University or wherever this experiment was going on for your parameters to be checked?
Yes, of course. They have given us an emergency contact number that if something happens to you after the vaccine, you can just call them and they'll address that. They gave after the day one when I got the jab, they gave us a thermometer, they gave us a measuring tape to see where the injection was given, whether its swelling is there, what is the radius of the vaccine, the spot over there. So they've done quite a good job in controlling and following up on the trial.
How many jabs were you given?
2.
You were given 2 jabs. Were you told that the vaccine being tried upon you is a COVID-19 vaccine?
No, they can't share that for a specific reason. There were 3 groups, so they'll tell after the clinical trial is over.
How many volunteers were there, or how many other people had participated in that phase of the trial which you were part of?
There were 5 different centers across UK. The main center was obviously Oxford University. I visited, there's a university called St. George Hospital in London. So I enrolled over there. And there were totally 1,000 volunteers. You can say 1,000 volunteers across globe, the first ones. And I was one of them.
Were you part of the phase 1 of the human trials? Because generally there are 3 phases of human trials.
Exactly, the phase 1 of human trial. And now Oxford University has started the 3rd phase, which is with 10,000 volunteers. But over there, they have changed the age limit. So that's broader now. So from 18 years to 80 years, that's the broader age group now.
Did you ever have second thoughts after enrolling? Did fear never grip you before enrolling for this?
Yes, there was. It's a human nature because it's something strange chemical compound you were getting. And what happened a day before, somebody messaged me on WhatsApp that there was a mortality due to this in the clinical trial, which was a fake news again. So yes, you think a lot. And even while giving a jab, the doctors over there, they asked, even a minute, are you ready for this? You can walk out anytime. So that option was given till the jab was given. But once the jab was given, I think it was as normal as possible.
Broadly, were you told about the composition of the chemicals that were being injected into you, or the vaccine which may have been retried this time around?
We were informed that 85% of the composition was as similar to the meningitis vaccine, which is there for long. So there were few changes in the chemical composition, but that chemical composition nobody will discuss right now.
So what was the driving force behind this all this while? You informed some of your family members, you did not divulge to some of your family members, and then you spoke to some of your friends. They would have given you a lot of inputs on whether to go ahead, whether to not go ahead, and the consequences involved. What kept driving you throughout?
See, what was happening, there was a lot of death, there was so much of disturbance around, and that was a global one, just not in UK, India, across. So when you see that so many people are getting affected, and the doctors are doing their best, the nurses, the pharmacists, the carers, and then you have got a chance to do something. And I think I'm more proud that I'm right now, I don't know what the result will be of this trial, but I participated in something good. Success or failure will not affect it much for me, but yes, I wanted to do something where, I can say, yes, this is one good thing I've done, at least, if nothing else.
You were checking on your parameters repeatedly during the process. Did you have to maintain some sort of an e-diary or some sort of notes and share with the Oxford University about, say, your parameters?
Yes, Munmun, I was regularly doing that. On day one, when I was giving the vaccine, I was asked to be there for 2 hours first. So they were checking my weight, because initial reaction will be visible if there is something, as soon as you get the vaccine. So after 2 hours, they said, okay, now everything seems good, your parameters are good. They gave us an e-diary to be filled, everything, which used to take around half an hour to fill every day, which requires to check your temperature, any irritation, any swelling in the arm. And every day till date 29th, which was the one important visit in the entire process, I was filling that e-diary and submitting it. The questions were, are you going out? Are you wearing masks? How many people you are getting in touch with? We were not allowed to use public transport during that time while going to the hospital or while coming back from there, and how you are maintaining social distance. So these were the important questions over there.
You told us that you were given 2 jabs. How did your body react to both of them?
On day one, yes. On the evening, it was quite a little bit feverish and there was a pain, but I think that is due to any vaccine whenever you get. Like even if you get a hepatitis vaccine, that's a normal body reaction to any outside chemical injected. So it was not related to this vaccine, but I think it's a normal reaction to any vaccine when you get it.
Usually there is a substantial monetary gain or benefit that is involved in this exercise, and many people who get enrolled get a heavy amount of money in return, but you went in pro bono for this. Why was that?
I think that was one of the reasons why I did that, because I never wanted to do it for any monetary benefit or any gains out of that. Then the purpose must have been totally lost.
That's the humane side of you that your family was talking about. Any timelines that Oxford University may have shared with you on when this vaccine is expected to enter the market?
The first timeline when this trial is going to end initially. So they have given us day 1, week 1, then day 29. Then it's the 90th day I'll be called again for the parameters to be checked. And then it's 6 months and 365 days. So that's the one timeline of the trial part, what they have given me. According to the commercial launch, they are expecting, which is also in media, around a September end launch. And if it happens, it will be one of the best things for the entire globe.
As someone who is part of the pharmaceutical industry, you must be aware of how difficult meeting various timelines is. For instance, if you look at the HIV virus, there is still no vaccine for it, and it's been over 3 decades of research that have gone into this vaccine. This is an RNA virus, and so is SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19. So is there a lot of uncertainty involved in this entire process, though various companies are coming out with various timelines.
I think you're right, and that was one of the points why people were doubting any clinical trial, because clinical trial takes a long time to finish. It's not like overnight you can just finish your clinical trial and give the drug. So, but the situation currently is there when the world needs a treatment urgently, and that's why every resources were funded given for this trial. Monetary basis, people coming out together and trying to do the voluntary job the way I have done. So, still not sure. Nobody can say when the drug, but as per the company, they are expecting a launch by September end.
Several companies the world over are working on vaccine development, and many among them are also working on ensuring that a vaccine, whenever it's developed and manufactured, reaches different parts of the world, the low-income countries, the middle-income countries. How important, from your perspective, is it to ensure that a vaccine, whenever it's ready, is accessible and affordable by all?
I think that's quite one important point, and that's why the different companies are getting tied up together. Like AstraZeneca is working with one more company in India. So basically, it's AstraZeneca, the main company which will be marketing it, but they're tying up and doing collaboration with different smaller companies in different countries also, so that this drug reaches as soon as possible whenever it's launched.
You're aware that companies are racing against time to search for a vaccine for COVID-19. Any message that you would like to give at this point in time?
I think one is the safety aspect. Any person who's running after to launch it faster, first thing and the last thing should be the safety of the individual. So all the parameters should be checked. You can't have any shortcuts in launching any vaccine.
You can understand this was a very, very challenging period for you, but you were very self-driven. After all, there is a humane side to you, which now all of us know, not just your family members. We'll take a breather now, and up next, we'll meet you with your wife. Coming back, sir.
Namaste India.
Namaste land.
Marhaban ila al-Hind.
Zari India.
Indu ni hao.
Salam India.
Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Mui
Nous
India.
sommes land. Indu.
نحن هنود.
India.
ما हिंदी हस्ती
Hum Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
In the second part of the interview, we are joined by the wife of Deepak, Pearl D'Souza. Welcome, Pearl, to DD India.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So what really happened when he broke this news to you that he'll be volunteering for a human trial of a vaccine candidate of a front-runner company?
Okay, so the first time he told me this, I didn't take him very seriously. I just didn't say much. And then a few days later, he came to me with a list of his blood tests saying that he's now fit to volunteer for the trial. And I was like, is this some kind of a joke? So he goes, no, I will be starting this tomorrow. I'm like, have you done your research? Have you spoken to everyone about it? Because I was like, I wasn't surprised because he's a blood and a platelet donor. He has been doing this for a few years. But I don't think I was prepared for this. Not at my doorstep anyway. I believe in science, I believe in trials, and I also know that trials take 5 to 10 years, for one vaccine, and he was going to be doing this in 45 days. So, and I have been working throughout COVID as well at the airport, firsthand, without any PPE, when this all started. And for him to go and volunteer to the trial when the parents and everybody was so far away, just didn't do my anxiety any favors. So I wasn't happy about it, truth be told. But as his decision, an adult decision, I had to respect it. So I said, fine, you're alone in this. That's what I said, because I was a bit annoyed. So, but then I let him be. I just let him take that step himself. And regardless of whatever happens, I still have to support him. So, yeah. Not happy, but unwillingly I did support him. So yeah, that was
Okay, so this was his call, not a collective decision.
Well, it was in the end. I do understand where he comes from and what he wants to do. So, but if you're asking me if I was on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy I was, I would go I would stay at 5.
Let's say 6 now.
So Deepak, in retrospect, how does it feel? She seems to have come a full circle on this.
Of course, yes, she's been always helpful, but there are few points where there will be differences between us, and this was one of the difference. But now when she knows that, there are people doing the same trial, there are people doing volunteering it, so it's a proud moment for everybody of us now, including her, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like no matter how scientifically inclined you are, when it lands on your doorstep, it's always different. And also, like, the drawback we have is our parents are really far. And during times of COVID, if something were to happen to one of us, it's not even easy for them to see us. Do you know where I'm coming from? So that was my worry. And then he's randomly decided to go and inject something in his body. So you see where I'm... So that was my problem. But yeah.
Well, how important is it for individuals like your spouse, Deepak, to come forward for the greater good of community, to rise above oneself, and to work for the betterment of community in such a trying time?
I think it's very important that people like young people like him come up and actually do voluntary work for the society. And it was not just the trial. During the trial, he had also volunteered for the NHS to go and like deliver medications to people and like do their grocery shopping. So like, I think it's really important, and we both are volunteers for the British Heart Foundation as well. So I think we all need to do our bit to give back. I'm a complete believer of that. So yes, especially when young people get involved, I think it makes it a better place, the world. So yeah.
Deepak, was this the first time that you volunteered for something like this?
Yes, for a clinical trial, yes. 100%.
And would you do it again, given an opportunity?
Yes, I will do it. I don't know.
I'm not saying anything. I just have to go along with it. So yeah.
But I'm happy for one thing. My father-in-law is more happier person than me today, just because of when I shared this news with him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He's always been supportive, because even we didn't tell our parents for a very long time. But then my father was the only one who took it in stride, and who also like tried to tell me that it's fine, it's okay. He has already done it now, and only good can come out of this. So not to worry. So yeah, my father has always been supportive about things like that. When it comes to science, my father doesn't think twice.
Your family stood by you, Deepak, by and large, in this entire exercise, and this definitely requires a lot of courage, compassion, a feeling of ensuring that you are of some use to the community at the end of the day, to go in for something as tough, difficult and challenging as this. Thank you so much, Deepak and Pearl, for speaking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.